Hello yogi friends, my name's Lucy Draper-Clarke from Heart Mind, and I'm so delighted to have been asked to offer this closing session for the International Day of Yoga. So I'll be leading a yin practice, which is one of my favorite practices, as a bridge into mindfulness. And what you'll need for today is a cushion to sit on and perhaps 2 blankets so that we can be really comfortable. And while some of you are fetching those props, let me just remind you of our theme. It's about connection. So today you've been really strengthening the bones and stretching the muscles. So we'll head into the joints and the fascia and target this connective tissue so that we can create some space for comfort in our sitting practice. And we'll explore particularly the lower back and the pelvis and the hips. So let's begin. We'll start the way that nearly every practice begins, by drawing our attention to the breath. And I invite you to take a very gentle Ujjayi breath, that whispered breath by closing the back of the throat. It sounds a little like the ocean as it washes up and down the beach. It allows us to lengthen the breath and to let it deepen right down into the body. So using that as your anchor, while I offer one of my favorite poems by David White in order to set the intention for our practice. Start close in. Don't take the second step or the third. Start with the first thing, close in, the step you don't want to take. Start with the ground you know, the pale ground beneath your feet, your own way to begin the conversation. Start with your own question. Give up on other people's questions. Don't let them smother something simple. To hear another's voice, follow your own voice. Wait until that voice becomes an intimate, private ear that can really listen to another. Start right now. Take a small step you can call your own. Don't follow someone else's heroics. Be humble and focused. Start close in. Don't mistake that other for your own. Start close in. Don't take the second or the third step. Close in. The step you don't want to take. So starting with the first thing, the breath that welcomes us into this world. And bringing our attention to the body. How is it feeling in this moment? To the heart. What emotions or feelings are present? And to the mind, what ideas or inspiration is moving through your mind in this moment? And then start with our first pose, butterfly pose. So maybe bringing your cushion just to the end of your mat and slightly lifting the buttocks so that the sacrum can push forward. And then if your knees don't naturally touch the ground, this is a lovely place to use our blankets so that the body can feel truly supported and cared for. And then gently lengthening up through the heart and moving forward. So we'll be holding these poses for just over 3 minutes as a way to give the body time to release held pockets of tightness and find our way into the joints and to stretch into the ligaments and the tendons. So in yin practice, we talk of 3 principles. The first is to move to your first edge. So start close in. Just gently feeling the place where there's sensation in the body. Not going too deep. Don't take the second or the third step. Just finding that minimum edge, the place where we can explore our experience with curiosity. And then the second principle is to find stillness, so that the muscles can be soft and relaxed, and we can gently move into our inner experience. And the third principle is to allow time and gravity to do the work. So as your breath flows in and out, you may notice the body naturally releases tension and we can deepen down. Gravity just softening us into the pose. You may want to support the neck on the hands or on stacked fists. And then gently enjoying that flow of the breath up and down the body. So our yin practice works with the meridian lines that run through the connective tissue, these rivers that carry energy right through the body and particularly into the organs. So the next three poses are from the yin kidney sequence, where we really explore the element of water. So just feel how, as we take time in this pose, we may find a sense of moistening the drier, tighter tissues, and we can slowly soften down. And then at the end of our time, we find our way back up. And you may like to just hold the feet, rubbing them a little and rubbing all along the inner legs just to massage the three lower body meridians. These are the kidney, the spleen, and the liver meridian lines. And then let the legs straighten out in front of you, leaning back on the hands just to ease any tension in the back. Sometimes we feel an achy sensation when we release from a pose, and we just give it time to ease. And then coming into our second pose, which is down on the belly. So this is Sphinx, a bit like cobra. So bringing the arms forward so the elbows are just in front of the shoulder line and the palms can come together in front of you. Feeling for the curve in the spine, and if it feels too much, just bring the elbows a bit further forward. Or if you're not getting any sensation, bring the elbows back, or you might even want to bring them up onto a pillow. Another nice way to use a prop is to bring the cushioning underneath the rib cage so that you feel you can rest down onto a support. So start with the ground beneath us, this pale ground, and feel the body melting down, letting the muscles relax, particularly in the buttocks and the thighs. And then bringing awareness back to that gentle flowing ujjayi breath. Inviting the breath down into the belly. And then noticing it rising up as if it was lifting the spine. Filling the belly and the lower back with each in-breath. Gently easing the sensation of the back bend. And then feeling that out-breath lifting and lengthening. So when we draw breath into the belly, we refine the chi, the prana, and then we can move it around the body to the places that we wish to support. So following the breath as it flows into the belly and then lifts up on the out-breath. And you're welcome to stay in this pose for another few minutes, or you may like to try seal, where we come up onto the long bones of the arms and the fingers turning out to the side. So resting on the bones and then feeling the heart lift. You may find your buttocks or your thighs want to tighten, but instead of protecting the lower back in that way, rather just move the hands forwards a little bit. So this is one of the kidney poses that's linked to the season of winter. It's a chance to turn inwards, to nourish ourselves, to keep warm, and very much take our attention away from busyness of life and into our inner world. Of course, many of us have been in our homes for many weeks and even months now. So we've almost had this unusual opportunity to turn inwards much earlier than we normally would in winter. And it's often the step we don't want to take, that inward turn. So the kidney chi is also linked to the element of water, which is yielding, but over time can wear down rocks. It's also able to move around obstacles rather than getting stuck. So just feeling how, as we breathe in and out, we're inviting those rivers of water to flow through the body. And then gently coming down onto the earth. There may be quite some sensation in the lower back. It's called our energy rebound. So just giving it time to ease and release. And then finding our way into a child's pose. So often in yoga we take the knees wide, but for the yin variation, let's bring the knees together and then you'll find you get a deeper stretch in the lower back. So the hands can come forward or back beside you, and if the head doesn't reach the ground, again let's use a blanket as support. The yin practice is a chance to really take care of our needs. So still connecting with that breath, starting close in, and feeling how the belly presses against the thighs and nourishes the lower back. So letting the breath flow up and down, in and out. So recognizing that breath and chi are closely related, but not quite the same. So we work with chi in this practice in two different ways. We come into poses where we can gently elongate and lengthen through the body, coaxing the flow of chi. Or there are places that are compressed and momentarily block the flow of chi. So at the moment you can feel that lengthening all through the spine and the momentary block at the hip creases. And then when we ease out of a pose, it's like a dam wall that's been unblocked, and it helps us move stagnant energy. So coming up onto all fours now. And we'll move into what we often call pigeon pose, but in yin we use the word sleeping swan. So let's bring the right knee forward, just behind the right wrist, and the heel can be under the pubic bone, or it can be further forward depending on the openness that you have in your hips. Gently drawing that back leg back so that you can feel the lengthening through the front of the left thigh, as well as the compression in the hip crease. And you may like to bring the blanket underneath the right buttock, just so that you have something to rest on. So to ensure safety in this pose, we want to make sure that the weight is in the hips and not in the knee. The knee is quite a vulnerable joint. So let's use the hands just to push back a little. So we want to stay heavy in the hip and light in the knee. So just use the hands to push back a little. And you may want to stay here or come down onto the forearms. Just find this sleeping swan where you feel enough sensation to stay present, but it doesn't feel vulnerable or risky. So there's another way that we can cultivate our prana, and that's by drawing the breath right down into the belly as we've been doing, and then imagining on the out-breath that it's flowing along the tighter tissues, the places where there's sensation. So imagine that we're soothing our inner world through the breath. You may feel it now through the outer hip, through the thigh. So keep drawing that gentle ujjayi breath in, and then letting it flow and stroke around the places of sensation. And noticing perhaps on the out-breath how gravity is able to release us a little more to this pale ground beneath. And every breath is a new beginning, a new invitation to the present moment. And then after a few minutes, we gently ease out of the pose. Take your time in the transitions, because when we've stretched around the joint sites, they can feel quite vulnerable. So moving back into child's pose for a moment, and just noticing the difference from side to side. Giving the body time to release that sensation, returning back to a place of comfort and ease. And then drawing up once again and bringing the left knee this time behind the left wrist. And taking that right leg back like a caterpillar as far as it wants to go. Lifting up the lower ribs so there's space for the abdomen, and then coming to your minimum edge. Inviting the breath down into the belly, and then allowing that out breath to flow and smooth any places of sensation. And as well as cultivating prana and using it to take care of the needs of our body, we can also use this yin practice to train the mind. So each time the mind wanders, we return to the gentle flow of the breath. Sometimes in a pose there's some intensity and we try and turn away from it. But just see if you can maybe ease up on the pose so that you can stay. The connective tissue grows stronger when it's under a little bit of stress, when we load the ligaments. And our emotional world is much the same when we are able to navigate our way through stress with mindfulness. We grow more emotionally resilient. So allow that sense of intensity to increase, but keep a steady rhythm with the breath, and using that exhale as a way to support and take care. And 3 more deep breaths here. Letting gravity melt you down on the exhale. And then this time, as we come out, just walking the hands back and sitting onto the hip. And we'll bring the back leg round to the front. So many of the yin poses are forward bends. So now we'll come into our classic forward bend, but instead of activating the legs as we normally would, we let them flop open. And gently coming forward. You may want some cushioning under the buttocks just to protect the sacrum. And again, you may want a cushion for the head to rest upon. So within the tradition of Chinese medicine, which yin is so complementary to, there's an understanding that our emotional challenges, there's an understanding that any difficult emotions are related to a block in the flow of qi. So we may feel fear if our kidney meridian is blocked, or anger that's connected with the liver. And instead of worrying about these emotions or trying to push them away, we can simply come down onto the earth, stretch through those places in the body, and allow the emotions to free themselves in their own time. So as you relax down into this forward bend, just bring an interest, a curiosity to your emotional state right now. This pose is designed to move energy through the urinary bladder meridian line, which begins at the face and moves through the brain, all the way down the spine and down the back of the legs. And so it's naturally soothing and calming for our limbic system, the emotional part of the brain. So as you fold forward here, just get that sense of being able to take care of cooling, soothing our nervous system and moving very consciously into our parasympathetic nervous response, where the sense of safety and ease, connection and contentment. And 2 more breaths, just once again noticing how on the exhale you may be able to melt under that gentle hand of gravity. And once again, coming up very gently, just allowing the spine to recalibrate. Take a moment to relax through the shoulders and the face. And then we'll come into our dragonfly. So once again, you might need the cushion just to lift the sits bones. And maybe bringing the blankets underneath the knees. So coming into our dragonfly pose, and you may notice the toes might flop in if you're more internally rotated, or they may flop out if your hips are more naturally externally rotated. So just finding your way forward, and again using the hands to support you and making sure that the head is in line with the neck. Or if you're able to come lower, you might want to rest the head in the hands. So now we'll explore the breath by taking some little pauses. So at the top of the inhale, take a moment to pause. And at the bottom of the exhale, take a little pause, softening into this moment of stillness and silence. And when you take a full in-breath, the lungs expand around the heart. So noticing whether you can feel the beat of the heart as you hold the breath at the top of the inhale. And then softly release. Using the gentle rhythmic flow of the breath and the sensations in the body to keep the mind present in this moment. Start close in. Don't take the second or the third step. Start with the first thing, close in. The step you don't want to take. And gently easing out of our dragonfly pose. Again, taking time with the spine upright just to notice sensations deep into the body. And to get a sense too of the feelings in the heart and the mind. And coming down once again onto the back for our twists. So having your blankets nearby if you need some support under the knee. And you can either bring both knees together and drop them to one side, or cross one leg over the other and find your twist, resting down onto whatever you need to make sure you feel comfortable. You may like to bring the arms out to the side. And just choosing whether to turn towards the knees, that's a slightly more relaxing pose, or take the twist so that you're gazing in the opposite direction. And so we've shifted from the forward bends where we're enclosed and safe. And now we're opening the heart back out into the world. So as you breathe into the belly, let the breath rise up into the heart. And on the out-breath, imagine radiating out from the heart qualities that we can cultivate in a meditation practice. Qualities of care, of loving kindness, of compassion and gratitude. When we feel nourished through our practice, through the flow of prana down into the belly center and lifting up into the heart, then we have something to offer others. We become the quiet eye in the middle of a storm, a place of refuge for other people. We become that listening ear. And gently easing out of the twist on this side, swapping over whatever props you need, and taking the same twist to the other side, either both knees together or one crossed over the other. And then pressing the back of the head into the earth, we can gently draw the shoulder blades under. And again, either gazing in the same direction as the knees or out in the opposite direction towards the fingertips. So as we lie in the twist, we're nourishing the spine. We're stretching through the outer hip. And we're preparing the mind as well for our meditation practice. Keeping the breath as our anchor. And feeling that gentle rhythm connecting us with the flow of life. And gently uncrossing the knees. And you're welcome to keep the arms where they are. This variation is called pentacle. Or come into your familiar Shavasana. So lengthening the feet out and away, and either keeping the arms up, or you may prefer to bring them onto the belly. Just to connect in with that flow of the breath. And as you lie here in Shavasana, feeling the ground beneath you once again. Connecting to Mother Earth. Feeling welcome on the earth. And letting the body melt. Relaxing deeply. And very gently moving the extremities, the fingers and the toes. And then drawing the knees up into the chest for a lovely hug. And then rolling to and finding your way back into Sukhasana, our cross-legged pose that we use for our mindfulness practice. If you're more comfortable kneeling, you're also welcome to take that pose for your practice. So just ensuring that the hips are the same height or a little higher than the knees. And if the knees are lifted, once again, we can use a soft surface for them to rest on, just so that you can be as comfortable as possible in your meditation. So feeling that the upper body is lengthening upwards like a Tadasana. We have a strong back and a soft, open front. You'll find if you're leaning forward, you may notice aches in the knees, or if you lean back, you might get an ache in the lower back. So settling into a place that feels as supported and comfortable as you can possibly be. And so in this mindfulness practice, we simply let the breath flow. Almost a sense of the body breathing for us. And with our attention, we follow the flow of breath. Without regulating, without interfering. Just trusting the body to breathe. And your eyes can be in a soft gaze, or you may find that they naturally close. If you get drowsy though, maybe just lift the eyes a little, as if they were focusing on the middle of the forehead. And what you may have noticed is the mind has started to wander. Because that's what minds tend to do until we train them to stay in the present moment. So we can add an extra support here, just by noting your experience with a single word. So if you can hear the sound of a bird, just note bird. If an emotion arises, just note that as well. Or sensations in the body. Simply use a single word to name and then return to the gentle flow of the breath. And we can bring the noting to a close. Recognizing why we come into meditation. We sit down, we take the inward turn so that we can rise up and be of support to our family, our friends, our community. So as our International Day of Yoga comes to a close, I'd like us just to explore how we can bring benefit to the world around us. How we can transform the world from the inside out. So as you sit here, I'll just drop in 2 questions and see what your mind or heart answers. Become that listening ear. The first question: what is my heart's deepest desire? Noticing what arises and trusting that as our intention for the future. And the second question: how can I best be of service to the world, to the people with whom I share my life? How can I best be of service to all the people with whom I share my life? How can I be of service to the world? And so let these answers that come from your inner world guide you as you move forward into the week, the month, the year ahead, until we meet again on International Day of Yoga. So we always close our practice with a dedication. And if you can imagine yourself sitting here and 10,000 other people sitting here with you, then we know that we're able to cultivate an extraordinary energy that we can send out into the world. And so we wanted to close by inviting Stephen to come back, and we will both chant the sound of Om together as our dedication to send out our wishes for well-being into the entire world around us.
So we want to invite you to join us for 3 final chants of Om to spread all these good yoga vibes that we have felt and created throughout the day with everybody else around us. So I'm going to be playing this instrument, which is called harmonium. It's an Indian hand piano, which is a really nice instrument to guide us in this chant. So if you're not familiar with this, all we're going to chant is Om. You can either join us, which I would recommend, or you can just sit and enjoy the sounds that you will hear. We'll do 3 chants. And I invite you to just sit quietly, close your eyes, let the sounds wash over you. Before we start, take a slow breath in. Take a slow breath out. And then inhale. moment to feel the vibrations continue deep inside. Imagine them spreading out further and further, touching everybody around us. And when you're ready, slowly blink your eyes open. We, on behalf of the teacher team of YogaWorks, want to say a massive thank you to you for practicing with us during the day. You might have done one workshop, half a workshop, all the 7 workshops, or anything in between. And it's been amazing. We could feel the good energy right through the lens of the camera, wherever you are. We hope you've enjoyed this introduction to yoga, or maybe you've been practicing for a long time. And we also want to say a big thank you to our sponsor, Multiply, for helping us to make this whole day of yoga happening. We also want to invite you to, although this was a free event, we have an amazing charity that we want to sponsor by raising donations and contributions from everybody who's able to. So no amount is too small. You'll find a donation link on the platform that we've used for the tickets through harbour.co.za, and all the donations go straight to 2 charities that we've chosen. The one is Yoga for Alex, which is doing amazing work in bringing yoga to one of the biggest townships in Johannesburg. They're teaching kids how to read, they're bringing yoga, mindfulness and practices to the township. And the second one is Township Yogi, who's releasing a yoga movie shot in the townships in Durban and KZN, also on this yoga day. So if you donate 250 Rand or more, you'll get a copy of all our workshops plus a copy of that movie. But as we said, no amount is too small. So if you're able to contribute, we are really grateful. If you want to share this practice with more people, we hope to see you for lots more yoga classes together. Thank you and namaste.
Namaste.